Have you ever wondered how to become so damn attractive that the one who wasn't seeing your worth suddenly can't stop thinking about you? Maybe you're trying to pull someone new into your orbit, or maybe it's someone who seems distant, someone you've already shared a connection with, but now they've drifted away. No matter the situation, you've likely been told that you need to chase them, prove your value, or constantly remind them of what they're missing out on. But let me tell you something, that approach is dead wrong. The more you chase them, the more you lose yourself, and the less they value you. We're flipping the script today, and I'm going to show you how to do something completely different, something they won't see coming. This isn't about games or manipulation. It's about mastering yourself, your energy, and your approach so that the one who left, the one who pulled away, starts to crawl back to you. Yes, crawling, because once you embody what I'm about to share, they'll feel your absence so deeply they'll regret ever letting you slip away. Here's the hard truth. Attraction isn't about what you say or do. It's about how you carry yourself when they aren't around. Too many of you are giving away your power by reacting to their distance with desperate moves, texting them more, showing up more, being too available. But every time you do that, you're communicating one thing. You need them to feel complete. And let me tell you, nothing makes someone lose interest faster than feeling like they have all the control. But what if you took control back? What if, instead of trying to fill every gap with conversation, attention, or emotion, you let silence, confidence, and self-mastery do the talking? That's where the power of Stoicism comes in. Stoicism teaches us that true power is found not in chasing others, but in mastering ourselves. When you stop trying to win them back and focus on becoming the person they regret losing, everything changes. Picture this. Instead of blowing up their phone with messages or showing up at every opportunity to prove your worth, you go silent. You pull back, not out of anger or pettiness, but out of confidence. You know your worth, and you no longer feel the need to chase someone who isn't reciprocating that energy. That's when they begin to feel it. The sudden shift, the absence of your presence, and it starts gnawing at them. They start wondering, why aren't you reaching out? Did I make a mistake? That doubt grows, and suddenly they're the ones feeling unsure. You're no longer giving them the constant reassurance they've been expecting, and that's when the tables turn. You've stopped feeding their ego, and now they have to reckon with their own feelings. This isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming your power. When you master your emotions, when you stop reacting and start focusing on your own growth, you become magnetic. The person who once overlooked you will begin to see you in a new light, because you become something they can't control or predict. And that's exactly what makes them crawl back. Stick with me, because we're going to break down how to embody this mindset using timeless Stoic principles. If you're ready to stop chasing and start attracting on a whole new level, hit that like button and stay tuned. Let's dive into the steps that will make them regret ever walking away from you. And the first step, folks, is to accept this challenge. You are no longer going to chase. You're not going to bend over backward to prove your worth to someone who can't see it. You're going to shift your focus inward and let them feel your absence. Silence, self-mastery, and unshakable confidence. That's the new you. Drop a comment below with the phrase, "I am done chasing," to let me know you're ready to take control of your life and relationships. It's time to stop pursuing and start attracting. Why they lose interest. Understanding why someone loses interest in a relationship often boils down to a few key factors. One of the biggest reasons is predictability. When you're always available, always showing up, and always saying yes, the element of mystery and excitement fades. Research in psychology shows that people are more attracted to what is scarce or uncertain. The scarcity principle suggests that when something is readily available, we tend to value it less. Another reason is emotional overdependence. When you constantly seek validation from someone, it places pressure on the relationship. As Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "He who is not disturbed by the loss of externals has found the serenity of inner peace." This means that when you're too focused on gaining approval from someone else, it signals insecurity, which can be a major turn-off. Routine is also a relationship killer. The same patterns, same conversations, same interactions make the relationship feel stale. According to psychologist Dr. Helen Fisher, novelty stimulates dopamine, a chemical associated with excitement and attraction. Without that element of surprise, feelings of interest start to diminish. Lastly, sometimes they lose interest because you've stopped growing. People are naturally drawn to those who are constantly evolving and challenging themselves. When you stop working on yourself, the dynamic becomes stagnant. A person who continues to grow emotionally, intellectually, or even physically remains attractive. In essence, losing interest is often a result of predictability, emotional neediness, lack of excitement, and the absence of personal growth. The antidote: become more unpredictable, more self-sufficient, and always strive to evolve. When you focus on those things, you naturally reignite the spark of attraction. Now let's move toward the 8 steps you need to take to turn the tide and make them come back to you with renewed interest. These steps are based on a combination of Stoic principles, psychological research, and practical relationship dynamics. Each step is designed to help you regain control, refocus on yourself, and ultimately make them realize what they've been missing. Emotional detachment. Emotional detachment is one of the most powerful steps you can take to regain control in any relationship. It's not about shutting off your feelings or becoming cold. Rather, it's about mastering your emotional responses and preventing others from dictating how you feel. When you learn to detach emotionally, you're no longer reacting impulsively to their behavior. You're in control of yourself and your emotions. So, why is emotional detachment so important when someone is losing interest or becoming distant? When you're emotionally attached to someone's actions or feelings, you become dependent on their validation. Every word they say, every message they send, or every sign of distance they show becomes a trigger for anxiety. You begin to overthink, overreact, and ultimately lower your own value by chasing their approval. This is where many people lose their power. They allow the other person's behavior to dictate their emotional state. But what if you could reverse that? What if you could remain calm and collected, no matter how distant or uninterested they seem? That's where emotional detachment comes in. Here's how emotional detachment works. When they start pulling away, instead of reacting with panic, you pause. You don't chase. You don't ask why they're pulling away. And you definitely don't start trying harder to win them over. Instead, you shift your focus inward. And remember that you are in control of your emotions, not them. This pause is what keeps you from spiraling into insecurity or neediness. It allows you to remain composed and confident, even in the face of uncertainty. This is rooted in Stoic philosophy. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Emotional detachment is the practice of embodying this mindset. You can't control if they lose interest or act distant, but you can control your reaction. And when you choose not to react emotionally, you maintain your power. Here's an example. Let's say you've been dating someone new and things were going great at first, but recently they've started responding less frequently and you feel the connection slipping away. The natural reaction would be to text more, to ask what's wrong, or to try harder to rekindle their interest. But this only communicates desperation and neediness. Instead, with emotional detachment, you stop yourself. You acknowledge the situation, but you don't let it affect your mood or self-worth. You let them pull back without reacting. You continue living your life as if nothing has changed. This silence, this lack of reaction, sends a powerful message. You are not dependent on their interest to feel valuable. Emotional detachment also allows you to maintain perspective. When you're overly attached to someone's actions, you tend to overanalyze and misinterpret their behavior. But by detaching, you create space to see things clearly. Maybe they're pulling back because they're stressed, or maybe they're testing the waters. Either way, emotional detachment keeps you from making rash decisions that could push them away further. It's important to note that emotional detachment doesn't mean indifference. You still care, but you don't let their actions control your emotional world. It's about balance, caring, but not caring too much. When you master emotional detachment, you maintain your confidence, regardless of how they behave. In conclusion, emotional detachment is about taking control of your inner world and letting go of the need to control external outcomes. It's about showing them that their distance or disinterest doesn't rattle you, and that kind of unshakable confidence is incredibly attractive. When you're no longer emotionally reactive, they'll start to feel the shift. They'll wonder why you aren't chasing, why you aren't reacting, and that's when the power dynamic changes. Instead of you chasing them, they'll begin to feel your absence, and eventually they'll come crawling back, realizing what they've lost. Stay with me, folks, as we are just getting started. Next, we are going to discuss mistakes that you must have to avoid. Avoiding the common mistakes that keep you stuck. When someone pulls away or starts to lose interest, it's easy to fall into a trap of desperation, panic, and overreaction. These mistakes, though common, only make things worse, leaving you stuck in a cycle of frustration and disappointment. But here's the good news. By recognizing these patterns and actively avoiding them, you can regain control and create the kind of magnetic presence that draws them back to you. Mistake 1. Chasing them relentlessly. One of the most common mistakes people make when they sense someone losing interest is to chase them even harder. You start texting more frequently, calling more often, or finding excuses to see them. The problem: this behavior comes off as needy and desperate. The more you chase, the less attractive you become, because you're signaling that you need their attention to feel validated. The key is to stop chasing and focus on detaching from the outcome. When you stop trying to force their interest, you immediately shift the dynamic. Instead of being the one who's always available, you become more mysterious, more unpredictable, and harder to read. This, in turn, piques their curiosity and draws them back in. Remember, people value what they have to work for, not what's constantly in their face. Mistake 2. Over-communicating and over-explaining. Another major mistake is over-communicating. When you feel them slipping away, you may think that explaining yourself or expressing your feelings will pull them back. You start sending long messages, trying to get them to see your perspective or understand how much you care. But this often backfires. Why? Because over-explaining and emotional oversharing can overwhelm the other person and make you appear insecure. Instead of trying to clarify everything with words, try embracing silence and space. Let them wonder what's going on in your mind. Let them feel the weight of your absence instead of constantly hearing your attempts to fix the situation. Stoicism teaches that true strength lies in emotional restraint and in relationships. Sometimes saying less is far more powerful than over-communicating. Mistake 3. Sacrificing your own life and interests. It's easy to lose yourself when you're focused on winning someone's attention. You start to rearrange your life to fit their schedule, cancel plans with friends, or neglect your own hobbies and interests. The result? You become too available, and your life starts to revolve around them. This makes you less interesting because they no longer have to work to be a part of your world. You've already made yourself too easy to access. The solution? Focus on your own growth. Keep investing in your passions, your career, and your social life. When you remain engaged in the things that make you happy and fulfilled, you naturally become more attractive. People are drawn to those who are thriving independently, not to those who depend on a relationship for their happiness. By maintaining your life outside of them, you'll become someone they want to be around, rather than someone they take for granted. Mistake 4. Seeking constant reassurance. When you sense someone pulling away, you might start seeking reassurance. You ask them how they feel, whether they're still interested, or why they're acting distant. But this constant need for validation sends a clear message. You're insecure, and insecurity is a major turn-off in any relationship. People want to be with someone who is confident and self-assured, not someone who constantly needs to be told that everything is okay. Instead of asking for reassurance, practice self-assurance. Trust that if they're meant to be in your life, they will be. Don't seek external validation. Find your confidence within. Mistake 5. Becoming emotionally reactive. When someone's behavior starts to confuse you, it's natural to become emotionally reactive. Maybe they didn't text back, or maybe they cancelled plans last minute. Your emotions spike, and you immediately react, either by sending an impulsive message, expressing frustration, or even shutting down completely. These emotional reactions only push the other person further away, because they create drama and tension. Instead, practice emotional control. Take a step back, breathe, and let your initial emotional reactions settle before responding. When you show that you're not easily rattled by their actions, you display emotional maturity, which is highly attractive. As the Stoics believed, control over your emotions is the ultimate strength, and mastering this will make you stand out in any relationship. Mistake 6. Trying to convince them of your worth. Another common mistake is feeling like you have to convince someone of your value. You might start listing all the reasons why they should stay, explaining why you're the perfect match, or even trying to show them what they're missing. But here's the truth: no one can be convinced to see your worth. Your value isn't something you explain. It's something you show through your actions, your confidence, and the way you carry yourself. Stop trying to prove yourself to someone who doesn't already see your worth. When you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, they'll naturally begin to realize what they've been missing. Mistake 7. Letting their behavior dictate your happiness. When someone pulls away, it's easy to let their behavior affect your mood. You become anxious when they don't respond, or feel elated when they finally do. Your emotional state starts to depend entirely on how they treat you. This gives them complete control over your happiness, and it's a dangerous place to be in. The key is to reclaim your emotional independence. Your happiness should never depend on someone else's attention or affection. Instead, focus on cultivating happiness within yourself. Build a life that excites and fulfills you, so that you're not constantly seeking happiness from external sources. Mistake 8. Fearing the loss. The fear of losing someone can drive you to act in ways that ultimately push them away. When you're constantly worried about them leaving, you start to cling, to chase, and to overcompensate. Ironically, this fear often becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The solution? Let go of the fear of loss. Understand that if someone chooses to leave, it's not a reflection of your worth, it's a reflection of their choice. By releasing that fear, you free yourself from the anxiety of trying to control outcomes that aren't in your hands. Avoiding these common mistakes allows you to regain your power in the relationship. Instead of chasing, over-explaining, or reacting impulsively, you begin to act from a place of confidence and control. Focus on yourself, master your emotions, and let them come to you on their own terms. When you stop making these mistakes, you create an environment where they naturally become drawn to your energy, your strength, and your emotional independence. No contact and make them miss you. The no contact rule is one of the most effective strategies to regain power in a relationship, especially when someone has lost interest or pulled away. This isn't about playing games or manipulating emotions. It's about giving yourself the space to reclaim your confidence and value. When done correctly, no contact can make the person who drifted away begin to miss you, question their decisions, and reconsider what they've lost. So, what is the no contact rule? It's simple. After a breakup, or when someone becomes distant, you stop all communication with them. That means no texting, no calling, no social media stalking, and no accidental run-ins. You completely remove yourself from their life for a set period, usually 30 days, but it can vary based on the situation. This period of silence has a twofold purpose. It allows you to focus on your own growth, and it gives them the space to realize your absence. Why does no contact work so well? First, let's look at human psychology. When you're constantly around or constantly reaching out, they don't have the chance to feel what life is like without you. You're always there, readily available, and as a result, they may start to take your presence for granted. By pulling back and going silent, you create a void. They start to wonder why they haven't heard from you, and this curiosity can quickly turn into missing you. This silence forces them to reflect on what they had with you, and more importantly, what they've lost. In the beginning, they might enjoy the freedom, thinking they've moved on or that they don't need you. But as time goes on, the silence becomes louder. They begin to miss the things you used to bring into their life, your attention, your energy, and the connection you shared. Suddenly, they realize that something is missing, and that's when they begin to feel your absence. A key element of no contact is that it helps you too. It's not just about making them miss you, it's about using this time to focus on yourself. The goal is to reconnect with your own life, your own passions, and your sense of self-worth. When you go no contact, you're giving yourself the space to heal, to grow, and to remember that your value doesn't depend on their attention. You're building yourself back up, and that transformation will become magnetic to them and to others. During this time, it's crucial to resist the temptation to check up on them, reach out, or respond to any messages they might send. Stoicism teaches us that true strength comes from mastering our reactions, and no contact is the perfect opportunity to practice this. By remaining silent, you're showing emotional control, and that's incredibly attractive. You're communicating that you don't need their validation, and that you're perfectly capable of moving forward on your own. This absence, this silence, makes them realize that they don't have the power to control you emotionally. It shifts the dynamic. Instead of you being the one who's waiting for them to respond, they're now the ones wondering where you've gone. They're the ones starting to miss you, and eventually they'll be the ones who come back, often more interested than before. No contact isn't just a passive move, it's a powerful, intentional strategy. It gives you the upper hand by allowing them to experience the impact of your absence while you focus on becoming a stronger, more confident version of yourself. When they do come back, they'll find someone who's not only moved on emotionally, but who's more attractive and grounded than ever. And that's when you hold all the cards. So, if you're trying to make someone miss you, no contact is your best bet. It's not about punishing them, it's about giving them the space to realize your value. And in that silence, they'll start to feel what life is like without you. And more often than not, they'll want you back. Staying focused during the no-contact period can be challenging, especially when the urge to reach out feels overwhelming. However, this time is essential for regaining your emotional independence and sense of self-worth. To stay on track, the key is to shift your focus from them to yourself. One of the most effective ways to stay focused is by investing in self-improvement. Use this period to work on yourself, whether that's through fitness, learning new skills, advancing your career, or diving into personal projects that ignite your passion. By engaging in activities that enhance your life, you not only distract yourself from the temptation to reconnect, but also grow as an individual. This growth will make you stronger, more confident, and more attractive when the no-contact period ends. It's also important to rely on your support system. During no contact, it can feel isolating, but surrounding yourself with positive friends and family can make all the difference. Spend time with people who lift you up, remind you of your worth, and help keep your mind off the person you're avoiding contact with. Having conversations and experiences with others will remind you that your world isn't defined by one person. Lastly, practice patience and emotional control. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our own actions and emotions. By staying mindful and present, you'll be able to resist the urge to break no contact and instead build the inner strength needed to maintain it. This time apart is as much about you as it is about them, so make the most of it. Heartbreak can feel like one of the most painful experiences in life, leaving you raw, vulnerable, and questioning your worth. But what if I told you that this heartbreak can be turned into your greatest strength? The pain you're feeling now is not just an ending, it's an opportunity to rebuild yourself stronger than ever before. In fact, the very thing that's tearing you apart today could be the fuel that drives your growth and transformation. Turn heartbreak into your greatest strength. Heartbreak can feel like one of the most painful experiences in life, leaving you raw, vulnerable, and questioning your worth. But what if I told you that this heartbreak can be turned into your greatest strength? The pain you're feeling now is not just an ending, it's an opportunity to rebuild yourself stronger than ever before. In fact, the very thing that's tearing you apart today could be the fuel that drives your growth and transformation. The first step in turning heartbreak into strength is to embrace the pain, not run from it. Too often, people try to numb the hurt with distractions, but true healing comes from facing your emotions head-on. Acknowledge what you're feeling, the sadness, the anger, the frustration, and allow yourself to sit with those emotions. As the Stoics taught, emotions aren't something to be avoided, but something to be observed and learned from. It's through this process that you can begin to understand what went wrong, what you need to change, and how to grow from the experience. Once you've accepted the pain, the next step is to use it as fuel. Heartbreak often leaves a void, but that void is also a space to rebuild yourself. Pour your energy into something constructive, whether it's your career, your health, or personal passions. Take the time to reconnect with your goals, to invest in yourself, and to rediscover who you are outside of the relationship. When you focus on your growth, the pain becomes a catalyst for transformation. The key is to remember that heartbreak doesn't define you. It refines you. Each setback, each moment of pain, is an opportunity to develop resilience. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The very pain of heartbreak is what will push you forward if you choose to use it as a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. Ultimately, turning heartbreak into strength means reclaiming your power. You no longer allow the loss of someone else to dictate your self-worth. Instead, you take control of your narrative, building a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more confident than ever before. Heartbreak is painful, but it's also temporary. Strength, on the other hand, is something you can carry with you for life. How to really make them miss you? To really make them miss you, you need to create a shift in the dynamics of the relationship by focusing less on them and more on yourself. It's not about playing mind games or using manipulation. It's about showing them that your presence is something special that they can't easily replace. The first and most crucial step is creating space. When you're constantly available, always initiating contact or showing up for them, they never have the chance to feel what life is like without you. By pulling back, whether that means reducing communication, giving them time to themselves, or stopping all contact for a period, you allow them to notice your absence. In this silence, they'll begin to wonder where you've gone and why you're not giving them the attention they're used to. This creates curiosity, which naturally leads to missing you. Next, focus on self-improvement. People are most attracted to those who are thriving and growing. When you use the time apart to improve yourself, whether through fitness, career goals, hobbies, or emotional growth, you become more attractive. As you build a life that is fulfilling and exciting on its own, you create a magnetic energy that they'll be drawn to. They'll notice that you're doing fine without them, and that realization often triggers feelings of regret or longing. Emotional independence is another key factor. Show that you don't rely on them for your happiness or fulfillment. When they see that you're not chasing them or desperately seeking validation, it makes them reevaluate your value. They'll start questioning why you're not reacting to their distance or indifference, which leads them to think about what they've lost. Finally, maintain a level of mystery. Don't overshare or let them know everything that's going on in your life. The less they know, the more they'll wonder. This creates an air of unpredictability and keeps them intrigued, making them want to reconnect with you. To truly make someone miss you, it's about stepping back, focusing on your personal growth, and letting your absence speak louder than your presence ever could. This not only increases your own sense of self-worth, but draws them back to you in a powerful and natural way. What to do when they finally reaches out? When they finally reach out after a period of silence or distance, it's important to handle the situation with calmness and confidence. This moment is key to setting the tone for what happens next, so you need to approach it carefully. First, don't rush to respond immediately. Take a moment to compose yourself and reflect on your next move. Responding too quickly can signal that you've been waiting for them, which might shift the power dynamic back in their favor. Give yourself time to think about how you want to engage with them. Keep it calm, controlled, and don't show too much excitement. When you do respond, keep your tone casual and friendly. Don't dive into emotional territory or bring up past issues right away. Instead, keep things light and let the conversation flow naturally. By doing this, you show that you've been fine on your own and you're not desperate for their attention. This reinforces the idea that you are self-sufficient, which is highly attractive. It's also important to set boundaries. If their behavior hurt you before, don't be afraid to express what you expect moving forward, but do it calmly and assertively. Let them know that you're open to reconnecting, but on your terms, with respect and understanding. Finally, stay grounded. Don't let their reaching out affect your sense of self-worth or independence. Whether or not they fully re-engage, you've already shown that you can thrive on your own. The power lies in how you handle their return. Stay calm, confident, and remember that you're in control of how things move forward from here. Setting boundaries and reclaiming your power. Setting boundaries is essential for reclaiming your power in any relationship. Boundaries protect your emotional well-being and reinforce your self-respect, making it clear what you will and won't tolerate. Without boundaries, you become vulnerable to being taken advantage of, and your value can diminish in the eyes of others. But by setting clear limits, you show that you're in control of your life and won't accept anything less than what you deserve. To start, recognize that boundaries are not about controlling the other person. They are about protecting your own space, energy, and self-worth. For example, if someone has been inconsistent or unreliable in the past, communicate what you expect moving forward. I need consistency and honesty. If that's not possible, I'm not going to invest my time. This lets them know that if they want to be in your life, they need to step up. Setting boundaries requires emotional strength. Sometimes people may push back or test those boundaries, but holding firm is crucial. Stoicism teaches us that self-control is key to maintaining inner peace. By not allowing others to overstep your boundaries, you maintain that peace and show them that their behavior won't shake you. Finally, don't apologize for your boundaries. Boundaries are a reflection of your values and self-respect. You don't need to explain or justify them to anyone. When you set boundaries and stand by them, you naturally attract people who respect you and distance those who don't. This process helps you reclaim your power because you're no longer giving away control of your emotions or allowing others to dictate your worth. Setting boundaries isn't about keeping people out. It's about allowing the right people in on your terms. In the end, it's all about mastering yourself. By embracing emotional detachment, avoiding common mistakes, and using no contact to make her miss you, you reclaim your power. When you stop chasing, focus on your own growth, and set firm boundaries, she'll start to feel the void you left behind. Remember, it's not about manipulating or controlling anyone. It's about showing your value through your actions, confidence, and self-respect. If you're ready to make this shift and take control of your relationships, hit that like button and drop a comment with the phrase, "I'm in control now," below.